You join us here at the Hilton Hotel and Casino as 200 plus members of the island's leading business people arrive to hear Allan Bell deliver his post-budget breakfast speech. This event, organised by the Junior Chamber of Commerce, is always popular, but this year was an instant sellout, such is the anticipation and speculation surrounding this year's budget. But what does it mean for you? What does it mean for the business you work in, or indeed the sector? We'll be asking those questions of Mr. Bell, then going to the Chairman of the Junior Chamber of Commerce, Richard Davies, and ending with insight and speculation from Nick Verardi, President of the Chamber of Commerce, about how it might affect your business. It's all right here at isleofman.com Video News.
Firstly, can I please welcome everybody to this JCC event this morning. For those of you that do not know me, my name is Richard Davies and I'm Chairman of the JCC. I'm pleased to introduce Mr. Bell to talk about the 2010 Isle of Man budget.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for that welcome, Richard.
Mr. Bell, this is almost certainly the most challenging budget in Manx history. Over what period has this budget been prepared and who is involved in the process?
Well, we normally start preparing the budget in June or July the previous year. This year the budget was pretty well complete by October, but of course then we had the bombshell with the changes to the VAT sharing agreement, which meant we had immediately to find another £50 million, and that has meant, in fact, we've had to rebalance the budget, redraft the budget and start all over again. The work on the budget is carried out primarily by officers of Treasury, but also in cooperation with the finance officers and chief executives of all the departments of government, and of course myself as Treasury Minister am heavily involved in it as well.
The private sector has been forced to make redundancies in recent months, although it appears this wouldn't be the case within government. Instead, 103 or so staff will just not be replaced. Will there be further reductions in years 2 to 5 of your 5-year budget?
We've already set a target across government over the next few years for a reduction of 10% in overall staffing costs. When you consider that the overall government salary bill at the moment is £316 million, that's £30 million worth of savings we're trying to achieve over the next few years. That inevitably will mean that there will be a reduction in the number of employees working for government. We've found 100 already, that saves us 3 million, 10% roughly of the target. We have a long way to go, but over the next 3 or 4 years, as we rebalance the budget, undoubtedly those figures will be reduced. We will be seeing, I hope through natural wastage, but possibly redundancies as well, but a reduction in the workforce will come. There's no doubt about that.
Notable changes affecting individuals and businesses are the 2% increase to the higher tax band, the 1% increase in national insurance, a 7% increase in electricity, and the lowering of mortgage relief by £5,000. Does this still make the Isle of Man attractive to compare to the UK, and is it always an important consideration for you in preparing your budget?
Yes, very much so. We have to obviously look after the welfare of the people of the Isle of Man first and foremost, but part of that welfare is a strong economy, and the Isle of Man has to be competitive. We have to ensure that the tax rates are competitive. We have to ensure that the services we provide for our various businesses here are effective and as professional as we can possibly make them. And therefore the changes, any changes that we bring in, we have to bear in mind whether or not they will in fact impact in any way on the competitive nature of the Isle of Man business community, and we have to do our best to minimise that.
So going forwards, Mr. Bell, what do you see as the island's economic strengths?
We obviously still have a very competitive taxation rate. That's unlikely to change. We have a very diverse economy. We have a very business-friendly environment on the island. Government is very close to the business community. We work hand in hand to develop new initiatives, new ideas, and to problem solve with the industry as well. And I think that with the quality of regulation and supervision that the financial industry has, and the worldwide reputation now the Isle of Man is getting as a high quality blue chip AAA rated jurisdiction to do business with, endorsed by G20, endorsed by the IMF, I think we have a great package to sell, and one which puts us very much at the forefront of a small country competing for this sort of business.
And so in conclusion, Mr Bell, what understanding would you wish from the Manx business community and resident population with this budget?
I hope that the community at large, the business and the residential community, will recognise that the world has changed as a result of the downturn in economic activity elsewhere, on the changing of the VAT agreement and the reduction in government revenues. We are doing our best to bring in a balanced budget, something which we are thinking about strategically over the next 3 or 4 years to not only rebalance the budget but rebalance the sustainability of government services, and that the community will recognise this is a very difficult balancing act we have to do. But if we all pull together, we all work together and recognise that by sharing the pain across the whole of the island, we will get through this and the Isle of Man will come out stronger and more able to confront the challenges of the future.
Mr Bell, thank you very much for talking to us.
My pleasure.
This is quite a coup for the JCC in getting Allan Bell to actually talk the day after the Isle of Man budget. He's actually done it for several years now, so we're absolutely delighted that he agreed to continue his tradition. Since we became aware of the VAT issue several months ago now, we knew this was going to be a very popular event. So I think there were a few interesting questions at the end, and this is one of the fantastic opportunities that people actually get to direct a question directly to the Treasury Minister and see the response face to face.
Nick, you're fresh from a Chamber of Commerce 4-hour working party discussion of Mr Bell's budget. What's the general reaction from the Chamber?
The reaction's been a positive reaction in general. The Chamber have felt that the cuts and the increases in taxes probably were partly expected, and they feel that they had to happen. There is some suggestion that perhaps, and we've heard this I'm sure not just from Chamber but from other members generally and Junior Chamber this morning, that the cuts could have been deeper, but I think Mr Bell made a very good point that essentially they had to react very quickly in making this budget. So it is very much considered a work in progress. I think we have to accept that. We're living in different times, so we've got 5 years in order to get to where we want to get to.
There are rumours in the UK media that whichever political party comes to power, VAT will increase to 20%. What would be the implications for local businesses?
Well, I suppose the danger is that for local businesses is that people decide not to spend any money. They might decide that you know, the taxes, which effectively it is, albeit an indirect tax, is just too high. So it cuts spending generally. So we have to be careful. Whilst through the Common Purse Agreement it might mean the Isle of Man government is entitled to more, it may affect local businesses in that people won't want to spend. So we have to be very careful about sort of accepting that as being the answer to all of our issues and all of our concerns.
Nick, as a result of this budget, some local businesses may feel more uncertain about the future than others. How can the Chamber of Commerce help them through these challenging times?
Well, the Chamber's a very broad church. It has a number of committees that sit at a fairly high level. So if you are a member, you're able to get access to the minutes of those committees, for example in retail or finance, and that will allow you to have access to the information that Chamber obtains. And mostly Chamber works by lobbying government, by getting access to new stories, new issues that are breaking. We can ask government ministers to come and explain to us the importance of a particular issue, which we can then cascade down to our members. So being part of Chamber gives you access pretty much to the sort of inner sanctum, if you like, of what's going on in the business world, and therefore you can benefit from that. We also have some events where we have lunches and dinners where you can network and understand that other people are going through similar problems and perhaps talk through your problems of your business with colleagues who are going through or experiencing similar issues.
Nick Verardi, thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
And so it would seem this is really just the beginning of a 5-year plan for the Isle of Man's budget. Are the Isle of Man government going along the right road to secure the long-term stability of our economy and standard of living? Have your say by posting your comments after watching this video. This has been Gavin Smith for isleofman.com Video News, Douglas.